Good afternoon, everyone. This is Olga Redding. For those of you who don't know me, I am the Iowa Organic Association Education and Outreach Coordinator. And we have Paul Ovrom with Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship today, and he will be discussing the Driftwatch and how to protect your pesticides. Oh, from you, how to protect your crops from pesticides. So what I will do, you guys, is I will actually allow Paul to introduce himself and go ahead with the presentation. We'll wait to ask questions until after Paul is done with his presentation. So we'll kind of leave that at the end. Feel free, if there are questions that come up during the presentation, to type them in to the chat, and I will answer them once Paul is done. Paul, thank you so much for being here today with us and for presenting on this very important topic. We appreciate your time and look forward to learning more. And so you go right ahead.
Okay, well, great. Thanks, Olga. I really appreciate that. And thank you for the opportunity to speak to folks today. And I understand it's going to be recorded, so it will be a resource for everybody as they need it.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
great.
Yes, this will be recorded and posted on our Iowa Organic Association YouTube channel as a reference for anyone and everyone that needs this help.
Great, great. Well, yeah, well, sure. And I'll start sharing screen here pretty soon. I don't have a camera on this computer, but I'll show you a few PowerPoint slides, and then we'll jump onto the internet and actually create an entry into this registry. So yeah, as Olga said, my name's Paul Ovrom, and I am the state horticulturist with the Iowa Department of Agriculture, and one of the duties with that position is to be the data steward for the registry. So I help producers get on, if they're ever struggling to get their sites onto this registry, I'm here and available to help them do so. And then I approve the entries. So once an entry is made and submitted, I do a review of that entry before it actually goes on to the registry for the commercial applicators to see and use, before they begin spraying out there in Iowa. So with that, I am going to jump to my PowerPoints here, just very few. I think it's only 5 slides, and then we'll go to the internet, the website. But just for some background, the Iowa Sensitive Crops Registry, back in 2017, it formed a formal contract. Yeah.
I'm sorry, don't mean to interrupt. Do you mind starting the slideshow from the beginning? That way
Yes.
yeah, that way it will show just the
Absolutely.
one slide.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yep, that looks great.
Thank you. Yeah. So back in 2017, we entered a formal contract with a nonprofit called FieldWatch to do a lot of the display and function features of the registry. Prior to that, we were doing it ourselves. FieldWatch has a lot of great bells and whistles that help communication between the pesticide applicators and the producers. So it's a great platform for this kind of a thing. So as I mentioned, it is a nonprofit company. It started out at Purdue University, and at some point back in, I think 2016, it decided to be its own standalone nonprofit. It's still housed in offices at Purdue University, though, and so it has ties to Indiana. But when it comes to Iowa, you can see a website address there under the word specialty crops. We have our own page within the Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship for this registry. And on that page, there is a link then that goes directly into the FieldWatch system, and I'll show you that here. But the specialty crops that are listed for inclusion into the registries are listed there. You can see the beehives. We have commercial fruit and vegetable plots, commercial nursery, vineyard, orchards, evergreen Christmas tree plantings. Notice they're all commercial. These aren't for just somebody's garden. They have to be a commercial production entity. And then we have the certified organic fields, and we have the organic row crops, small grains, pastures, and then we have those listed above that that might be certified organic. So we have fruit and vegetable producers that are certified organic. We have some orchards that are certified organic, and they would be able to list that on their entries into the registry. We also have those that are transitioning to organic. You can select that and be listed as transitioning into organic and provide that communication to the pesticide applicators as well. And then for all of these, the minimum field size is 1/2 acre. So currently there are 21 states and 1 Canadian province that participate in FieldWatch. And I just went in this morning and dug up some of the stats for Iowa. And you can see a little table there. I hope it's big enough to see on your computer screen, but it provides some columns there with different data there. You can see that Iowa producers use this registry a lot. We're #1 in the registered applicators using it. We're #1 in the registered beehives, but all of these stats are pretty high for when you compare them to other states. So Iowa uses this site, and the producers welcome it and use it as a communication tool there. When it comes to looking a little more focused on certified organic fields, we have 771 entries in Iowa. If I were to do a search, I came up with that number, and it totaled a little less than 73,000 acres listed as certified organic in Iowa. And of those entries, 580 were what I call standard commodity crop, or they might be pasture as well, with the remaining being these more specialty fruits, vegetables, orchards, those kinds of things. And then we have 192 entries listing transition to certified organic right now. So as those folks move through the transition, they can log back in and then edit their entry to list themselves as certified organic. I mentioned 21 states, and those are in green on this map here in the 1 Canadian province, Saskatchewan, listed there. Just thought it might be of interest to see that. This program expands every year. There's a couple of states that join, it seems like, every year. So this has really grown. And as I mentioned, Iowa has participated since 2017. So how to access this registry? There are really 2 good ways. You can go to the Iowa Department of Agriculture's homepage, and once you get there, there's a link to programs. You click on that, and then a new screen pops up with all the listings of different programs, and one of those is sensitive crops directory. So you can click on that, and it will take you to our homepage for the directory. And on that is a link to the Driftwatch platform. Or you can do a search engine actually for just Driftwatch, or here's the link here. But if you were just to go to Google and type in Driftwatch, click on the link, you would get to where you need to go to enter your fields. This site works best in Google Chrome. So look for this logo. If you're not sure what Google Chrome is, look for this logo when you're getting onto the internet platform. Use this one. It's more conducive to getting things squared away. So here's my information. If I think of it, I can show this at the end as well. but feel free to contact me if you're struggling or need anything. You know, when it comes to this program, I'm happy to help. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing this and I'm going to move to a new screen. And hopefully that's showing up now.
Yes.
So here is the Iowa Department of Agriculture's homepage for the Sensitive Crop Registry. It's got a lot of useful information. It reminds folks what specialty crops can be included. It talks about apiaries and a platform called BCheck for adding hives. It talks about registration and applicators and how they use it. You can, once you're in the system, there's a link here for ordering no spray signs for your fields if you're interested. So a lot of good information on this site. And up here in the upper right where my cursor is moving around is that link to the actual registry platform. So I'm clicking on that and it's taking us to that site. So if you're already in the system, you would just enter a username and password and hit login, and you would go to your sites that you've already entered. You can edit those, you can add new sites, those kinds of things. But let's pretend that we are new at this and we want to add a site. So we've got three logos over here: Driftwatch, BCheck, and FieldCheck. And FieldCheck is for the applicators to register themselves. BCheck is for the apiarists. And then Driftwatch are for the commercial specialty crop producers. I will say that once you go into Driftwatch and set up an account, if you have beehives as well, you can enter them through Driftwatch. But if you're just a standalone apiarist, you would go through BCheck. But if you have bees with your specialty crops, you can do that through Driftwatch. So I'm going to click on that logo and a new screen pops up and we'll just walk through. It's fairly straightforward. I'm going to select Iowa and let's see, I will select I'll use my last name. Passwords have to be at least 8 characters long. So for this, I'm just using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we'll see if that works. It didn't. Username must be at least 6 characters long. Okay, so I'm in. So when you get to that point, be sure and write down your username and password. You'll need those to get in the next time. I do not have access to passwords. I can't help you with a username. The best I could do as an administrator is reset your password to something real basic and let you know what I set it to. So try to keep hold of that, but I can help if need be. So I might be in here so much, I'm going to use my son's name here. And just make up some things here. It's not too picky. It's just trusting you to provide the correct information. So that should create an account. A disclaimer box pops up and you're welcome to read through the disclaimer. Just like anything you register for, you're going to get one of these things. But I'm going to check on that box and create an account. And it's telling me an account was created and that I can go ahead and register a site. And so I'm going to do that. So 2021, of course, I want that. You can jump ahead and go to 2022 if you want to create something, then it won't show up until 2022 if you do that, but I really don't know of anybody that's done that. Iowa is already selected. And then here are the specialty crop types. And I could pick non-specialty certified organic. That would be, say, a standard rotation of corn and soybeans, maybe oats, something like that, or a pasture. Or I could do a non-specialty transition to sort of certified organic if my fields are in transition. Or I could pick, let's say, vegetables. And if I'm certified organic as vegetables, then it allows me to enter that there and click on certified organic. If I were to just say non-specialty certified organic, that's still what I would have to click, is certified organic. And it's asking you then, who's your certifier? What company certifies your fields? And then please enter a certification number there. So look on any of your correspondence with your certifier if you don't know your certification number, and type that in for us. So, and that, if we have any questions, then we can contact you about that. But that helps us verify that you are indeed certified organic. Active dates, I always suggest just click that site will be registered as soon as it is approved. You can, if you know you won't be certified until a certain date, you could enter a date here in this area. But if you're already certified, just click that site will be registered as soon as it is approved, and then keep the site through year end for renewal. The other option here for date site will expire, that's more comes into play typically with folks with beehives that might be moving beehives around. They might click that and give an end date for when that hive is at a certain location. So I would recommend just selecting the option keep site through the end of the year for renewal. And then I click next. Step 2 is an optional step. You don't have to enter anything in this screen if you don't want to, but a lot of folks, especially if they have more than one field, they might want to nickname their fields. So when they log in next time, they can be assured they're thinking they're on the, they're clicking on the right field with its nickname, and that helps them remember which field's which. You can leave a comment that will be seen by the public. It'll be seen by the commercial applicators. When they log in, they'll see this note. You can leave a note for me there. So these are all optional. If you have bees there, or if you have specialty pollinators nearby that you raise or take care of in your area, say they're bumblebees, there's some nesting sites that you can buy these sites for carpenter bees, these kinds of things. If you have those, you could click on that box there that this place has pollinators that are helping to service your fields. But like I say, this is optional. I take that back. Whenever you select organic certified, it's not optional, this one here. They want to know a little bit about it for the organics, and they want to provide a note to the registered applicators what this field might be. Some people just put like standard certified crop rotation something like that, so that in that way the applicators aren't expecting to see corn every year. So one year they'll see things different, and they'll know not to just expect one kind of crop every year there. So that was step 2. And then step 3 is we're going to a map. This platform is really handy in that it interfaces with Google Maps, and you'll be able to draw the boundaries of your fields on this registry, so that when the applicators log into this registry, they'll actually be able to see on a map where your fields are located. So that's what this step 3 is getting at here. So you have 3 options to put the sites on the map. You can type in an address. That's the first option, and that's what I recommend. The second is I already have the map at my site's location. Very few people would have that set up. So, or you can center the map using my current location. So if that were selected, the computers would interface with each other and determine where you are sitting at your computer. And it doesn't always work that well. So I would suggest this. This works best, this first option, especially if you have an address for your field. If you have an address or even a nearby address, that works great. But let's say we don't even have an address. But let's say my fields are 2 miles to the west of the local town. So let's say, let's see, let's pick Webster City, Iowa. And so I don't even have an address. I just have Webster City. My fields are located way out there 2 miles, but there's no address associated with it. But if I just pick Webster City, I know that I can get there using the map here. If I grab this map with my, see the little hand moving around with my mouse, I can grab it and pull it around. Down at the bottom of the screen, bottom right, there's a zoom and a zoom in and a zoom out feature. And so I can use those. And so I don't have an address, but I know if I zoom in, there's Webster City, there's 210th Street. I know my fields are just east on 210th Street. Over there by Brewers Creek. And the more you zoom in, the more the streets show up. And there's Erickson Avenue intersecting with 210th Street. So let's say that's it. So I didn't have to actually have a hard address. So that's one way to get around if you don't have an address for your field. Of course, if you do, use that, and that'll zoom you right to the spot. It should anyway. Okay, so we're here where we want to be to designate our field. So I'm going to hit begin tracing. And I hadn't even noticed this up here, but here's a little pop-up screen that says Iowa Driftwatch wants to know your location. So you can allow that, and that would help probably better place your fields. Oh, that was my location. So that's how it knows where I am. So I'm going to go back, hopefully. Get back to Webster City, yeah. So I'm learning something there as well. Okay, so the button right here, when you're on the map where you want to be, click on begin tracing. And you can still move the map around, but now you have a little crosshair cursor, and you just click on a corner or the beginning of your field, and you can still zoom in and out. So you could zoom right in if you want, and just click, and then move your mouse, and you can see a line is following that. And then do another click, and you've created a hard line there. And the FieldWatch folks don't want homes and most outbuildings and general woodlands, these kinds of things in the entries. So as best as possible, they just want the fields that contain the crops. So I'm going to etch out what appears to be a home, or at least some buildings there. And then I can, when I click down on my mouse, I can move the map. And it takes a little while to get used to it, but you can play around with it and you'll get the hang of it. And then it's intuitive after that. And then when I click this where I started, it's going to shade the whole field. It's enclosing it. So there it is, enclosed and designated as my field. And so then I hit submit site. By agreeing, I state that the information I have provided is accurate and truthful, and that the crop designated is for commercial production and at least a half an acre in size. So it's reminding you that that's what you're agreeing to, and you're telling the truth here. So I'm hitting agree. And your site has been sent to the state data steward for approval. So you hit OK, and then right after that, I will get an email automatically that says a new entry has been submitted to the Iowa Sensitive Crops Registry. If you have another site, up here on the left, there's a green Submit New Site, and you can click on that and start the whole thing over again. And oops, and so you would walk through that, and then you could select another site. If it's nearby, you can just stay on the screen. If it's somewhere else, you would type in the address or a nearby town, and it would take you to that area, and you could start all over for another entry. People ask about these things over here on the left-hand side, this column of things. These aren't really anything that are needed for placing entries into the Driftwatch platform. They're just ways of filtering all the entries in the state, so you could look at things you could say, I just want to look at the organic sites in the state. So it's a filter, and it takes out certain things on the map, but it's nothing you play with when you're entering sites. I hope that makes sense.
Yep, it does.
Okay, so with that, that's how you would enter sites. I'm trying to think what else you might want to know. Let's say that you are, I can't try to move there we go. Let's say that you're already in the system, but you want to edit a field. Do we still have time, Olga, to do that?
Yes, we have an hour today, so yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, let's say we want to edit the field. I think this was. So what I just did there, I entered a username and password for somebody that has already been, has sites on this platform, and they've been approved by me. So once I've approved your entries, then when you the next time you log in, you will just come to your sites. You'll see them over on the left. If you had multiple sites, they'd be listed over here on the left. But this person just has one approved site. But let's say they want to edit it. They could either go over here to the left and click on the approved or click anywhere in there, or they can just go right to the map and click on the V or near, I think you have to click right on the V, and that V stands for vegetables. And here's my information that I entered for this entry. So here's some contact information. This is all stuff too that the applicators will see when they go to the map and they click on these sites. Any place they're interested in, if they click on it, they'll get a pop-up screen with information that the producer entered here. This latitude and longitude is provided by the Driftwatch mapping system. You can see when it was submitted and approved, those kinds of things, how big it is, when it expires. When a site is approved, it will be approved for the rest of the year through March of the following year. And then come late winter, you will get a notice, an email from the FieldWatch folks reminding you that you need to renew your fields. So you don't have to recreate it, but you just have to log in. And if everything looks good as it is, you just hit renew for 2022, so to speak, for next year. You can also edit things right then too, though, if you need to change the shape of the field. So let's do that. So I just clicked on that V, which stands for vegetable. All these sites have a little clue before you click on that as to what's growing there. And let's say that I need to make some modifications to that entry. I could change it. Let's say I want to be more specific and just say that it's a pumpkin field, and it is sort of certified organic still. I could name it, but once I click through those pop-up screens go away, and it's giving me the option of changing the size of the field. So you can see the dots are showing again. So I could grab one of those and pull it up, and I can tease things around and trying to just include the field. Even if it's a hard shape, you know, you can, oops, you have to click right on the circles to get things to behave. But you can see what I'm doing here. And like I say, the more you do this, the little easier it becomes. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You do your best, but if there are some woods or something in there that it's just too problematic to get out of there, just hit save changes, and we can always review it. And if we want to tweak it, we'll tweak it and let you know that we tweaked it, or we may just approve it as is, recognizing that you did the best that most humans can do for this kind of a thing. But there I've edited a site, and that will be reviewed by the data steward. You can, while you're in there, you could submit a new site, things of that nature. So it tries to be user friendly, and for the most part it is. But if folks get stuck, they're always welcome to contact me and I can help out. That's what I'm here for. So I think with that, Olga, you can open it up for questions.
Excellent. Yes, thank you so much for showing us a step-by-step guide on how to
Yeah,
accomplish this. This is very helpful to see, and even knowing how to trace the map and like seeing you do this in action is very helpful.
sure.
Just a little
And
circle.
you can always clear what you're doing. You can always start over.
Mhm.
If things get all fouled up, just just start over, but feel free to play around and you'll get the hang of it.
Yeah, yeah. It looks to be pretty self-explanatory, and if
Hmm.
you do it once, then you kind of
Right,
know what to do the next year.
right.
Yeah, but this will definitely be helpful for like brand new folks
Yeah,
that are looking to
absolutely.
learn about this. So Audrey had a so let's see, there's a couple of questions. Okay, so Jack Knight, he's actually a board member of ours, and he's an organic certifier. And he said, "How can Amish organic farmers get into your system of
Hmm.
Driftwatch?" That's a great question,
Yeah,
Jack.
it is a great question. And we do have Amish folks um, i- um, that participate on this registry. And what I ask them to do, um, many times they have access to a phone, so they can call me. And what I do is I take down their address. We have to talk over the phone, and I get on the system and I get on into the mapping feature. And with their address, I pull up what is there and provided by Google Maps, and I describe it to them. And if they say, "Yep, you're looking at our farm," what I will do to make sure that I have it correct is I'll do a print screen and I'll print it out, and then I'll mail it to them, and I'll ask them to draw the boundaries of their fields and then mail that back to me. And then then I'll draw the field out on FieldWatch. Sometimes if it's really straightforward, right when they're on the phone, I can draw it out over the phone and hit submit, but I'll still print it out and mail it to them because I want to make sure that we've got the fields. I don't want to second guess that. So I'll always get their feedback, and we just use the USPS to do that. But that's how I get them into the system. If they don't have access to the phone, um, oftentimes in a local extension office or a friend might call me and they'll give me the address, and then we'll just do it from through printouts that way, and I'll mail it to the Amish farmer that way.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for explaining that process.
Hmm.
So the other question that Audrey has is a little bit, it's a little bit of a longer one, but basically it's about, have you guys considered extending the definition of sensitive area to include cropland around homes raising small children, or with a couple planning to have a child, or where a woman is pregnant? And this question actually came from Charles Benbrook. He's with Heartland Health Research Alliance, and he said that they would be interested in supporting this effort if if you were to pursue that.
Well, every year we do a review of what fields should be included in the registry. Um, with all of these programs, there comes a point you have to draw the line in the sand, so to speak. And these things are included and these things aren't. So it's always a hard decision on where that boundary should be, where that line should be. So we do a review every year of those. And to date, we have just stuck with the notion of these commercial fields that are growing something of commercial value. But that's not to say that these things aren't certainly worth knowing. We've had calls for including, say, sensitive prairie lands and those kinds of things as well. Um, but I I have never been approached with that about children and in the land around those homes. So no, that's the first I've heard of it. Certainly I can, I don't work do these things on my own. It's a
Yeah,
team
yeah.
that provides guidance to me on what to be in, what fields are to be included, but I can certainly pass that information on the next time we meet and bring that up. If anybody wants to email me some more information about it, they're welcome to.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Yeah, Audrey also mentioned, schools and daycare centers would be
Hmm.
a great
Hmm.
area to
Hmm.
potentially
And
consider.
sometimes the folks at FieldWatch get interested in what they've done, say with plots for seed corn, where they have workers detasseling in that. They've created a whole new platform specifically for these fields that contain seed corn. So they might be interested in learning and thinking, scratching their heads about possibly a new platform just for these kinds of places where humans that are particularly important, like hospitals, schools, daycares, those kinds of things could be marked out on on a special platform.
Yeah, yeah, wonderful. Yeah, so Field Watch partners, do you have anybody specific? Would you be able to share somebody a contact with me from Field
I'm
Watch?
trying to think of um, it's a very small staff.
Okay.
Um, and I'm trying to think if they just had an email there. That doesn't seem to have it. But I'm sure if you go on to the Driftwatch home site, there's a contact there,
Okay.
and you can just, that's not going to be what I want. Yeah. So if you were just to go to the FieldWatch, there's a contact portal there.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Linda asked a question. She said, organic farmers frequently tell us their crops have been damaged by pesticide drift. What recourse do they have?
Yeah, good question. Uh, and I don't work in that bureau, but there is within the Iowa Department of Agriculture pesticide bureau. So that's their job. They want to know if anybody, any site has had drift damage. Um, you can call the pesticide bureau and they'll take down a report over the phone. And let's see. So here's their website within the Iowa Department of Agriculture. Within the department, you click on that, and pesticide is one of the options. But they have staff there and they have inspectors. So they'll take down a report over the phone, and based on what they're hearing, that will determine whether or not they'll assign a field inspector to come out to your site. And if they do, they'll likely take plant samples back to the lab. They'll take everything down. And like I say, I don't work with that bureau, but they have the staff and resources to handle that.
Thank you for pointing us that
Sure.
direction. Much appreciated. Jack has another question. He said, are any pollinator strips and programs eligible for this?
Right now, as I use the phrase line drawn in the sand, it's just for honeybees. So, um, when you enter a field, you can designate it as pollinator. I forget the phrase, but the use of pollinators, you can click on that as an option to show that there are pollinators in the area. But otherwise, this platform is just to register honeybees. That's just where it is right now.
And since we are giving you lots of suggestions here, Audrey mentioned another great one. She said that cropland around schools might be another area to consider.
Hmm. Right.
And then Jack commented, saying that sometimes the sprayer settles without any legal action or anyone else except the certifier involved. I believe that was to your comment, Linda, as far as pesticide drift is concerned. Okay, well, I don't think I see any. Oh, here, Dustin. Dustin, with Senator Joni Ernst's office is asking a question. He's saying, is there a minimum number of hives necessary for an apiary to qualify to participate?
Hi, Dustin. No, one hive is all it takes, and you can be a hobbyist or it can be for commercial use. But Iowa has in the code what we refer to as the Iowa bee rule, and so it has some protections for those that raise honeybees, whether they're a one hive hobbyist or those that do commercial apiaries throughout the state. But if you do and you have those registered on the Iowa Sensitive Crop Registry, then you are provided a bit more protection with these hives. And the commercial applicators, when they go to the Iowa Sensitive Crop Registry to look for hives, and by the way, these applicators can actually designate areas within the state where they want notifications to come. So if they mark out an area in the state where they want notifications, whenever a new entry goes into that area, they will get an email telling them that there's a new entry in that area. But at any rate, when the applicators go to spray within a certain area and they see hives on the registry, they're not to be spraying pesticides labeled as harmful to bees within a mile distance of those hives from 8 a.m. Until I think sunset, to any blooming crops in that mile area. So there are some protections in the Iowa code for bee hives provided there, and it can be just one hive.
That's good to know that it's not only beehives that are for commercial use, that,
Yes.
even a beehive that someone is.
Yeah. And that is an exception to, I mentioned commercial crops,
Mhm.
but when it comes to bees, I guess that would be the exception.
So is glyphosate considered a harmful pesticide against bees?
Well,
No?
like I best not say for
Oh,
sure. That would be the Pesticide Bureau.
okay.
They would know for sure
Okay.
with the
Gotcha.
labeling, but
Okay. Okay. Well, I believe that is all the questions we have, unless there are any more, since we have a few more minutes here left. If there are any final questions, feel free to either unmute yourself or type in the chat box. Everybody's just keeps typing "Thank you, Paul," and
oh,
I will say that too. Thank you, Paul, for being here today and for sharing with us
well,
this great
yes.
information. Um,
Thank you.
yes,
Spread the word. It's a great way to communicate to these commercial applicators where your fields are.
yeah, and it's a very, nice tool. And
Mhm,
so, yeah, definitely
mhm.
that should be utilized by folks that
Yes,
need it.
yes.
We appreciate your time. And for everybody that attended, thank you for being here today as well. I will be sending an email to everyone with a quick survey link. We use your responses for grant reporting purposes. And so, really appreciate if you could share your thoughts. And then, of course, as always, this webinar will be included in our Iowa Organic Association YouTube channel. So feel free to send people to the channel that are interested to learn more about this and would rather see a webinar in this fashion. So again, thank you everybody for being here, and I hope you all have a great rest of your Tuesday. And Paul, thank you again.
Yeah, thank you, Olga. Have a good
Okay.
day.
Have a good day, guys.